Welcome back to Classic Glass. I'm Leo Ravina, and today we're going to be talking about Challenger Eastern Surfboards. Before we talk about Challenger Eastern Surfboards, we have to talk about the parent company, Challenger Surfboards, started in 1961 in San Diego. They had a long-lasting career going up until the early to mid-70s. One of their shapers in the mid-60s, about 1965, Carl Tinker West, saw the opportunity on the East Coast with the surf boom and thought it would be a good idea to open up a shop over there. So he got some materials and some of the men and headed over to the East Coast to start up Challenger Eastern Surfboards. By this point in Tinker's career, he was ready to be shaping under his own label. When he first started, he worked for Wardy Surfboards as well as Hobie before shaping full-time with Challenger. Now, being the head shaper under his own label in his own facility, he also brought on two other younger shapers, Jim Phillips and Michelle Juno. After a few years of building surfboards out of their main location, it would unfortunately burn down in 1968. They had moved two more times before ending up in their final and their most legendary location, the Bay Ave location in Atlantic Islands, New Jersey. The example I have of a Challenger Eastern surfboard is from 1967. It's a double stringer, and it measures 910 by 22 1/4 by 3 1/4, 17 3/4 in the nose, 15 in the tail with a 6-inch tail block. Looking at the outline, it's really smooth, and I really appreciated it the first time I saw it. I'm like, man, I really like that outline. So I reached out to Jim, asked him, I said, were you guys just kind of shaping whatever you wanted to shape, or do you guys have models? And it turns out they did have a loose serial number system, but everybody kind of had their own templates. And looking at the photo, he told me that he does believe that this is a Tinker. He goes, he had two templates that he liked to use, the STD Pig and the C model. The C model, he believes, was a Mike Henson outline of Endless Summer fame. Rather, he pulled it off of a Henson longboard, or he actually physically stole a template off him. We don't exactly know that. But either way, taking a second look at the board, I'm like, damn, I could totally see it. It's a really pretty classic California curve. Moving towards the nose, like I said, it's 17 3/4. I read around online and I saw that Tinker also didn't believe in the whole nose riding fad. He thinks that, or he thought that at the time, it was just a total gimmick. If you're going to nose ride the board, you should be able to do it with placement, not having this huge wide nose like a Weber Performer or something like that. And I kind of believe in it. You know, it's a pretty cool way of looking at it, and would be pretty rare to see one over 18 inches wide in the nose. So looking at the bottom of the board, it doesn't have anything like all that crazy going on with it. It definitely has a very early 60s feel to it. And you got to remember, 1967, this is the time where everything was starting to change. You're starting to see like wing nose longboards and slight concaves, wider noses. The whole nose riding kick was like in full force. So we're going to start at the tail of the board and kind of flat, little bit of belly, slight belly in the center. And then getting to the nose is what I find pretty interesting. It's not a wing nose, but it's flat right here, like almost perfectly flat. And the rails are still 50-50 in the nose, but it's just like flat to roll. So I don't exactly know if that was like purely intentional or if they're trying to get more rocker out of the board, but it's definitely an interesting feature, and I haven't seen it on any other longboard. Looking at the rails of the board, much like the bottom contours, it has a really early 60s feel to it. Rails aren't super bladed out. They're still pretty full, like baseball bat 50-50. It's not like a down rail 60-40. We're going to start at the nose first. There's no down rail, 50-50. Rolling into the center, 50-50. But where it is really interesting is in the last 8 inches of the tail. It goes from 50-50 into a slight down rail, almost like a 60-40 down, not pinched, but just down, and then goes down off the tail, which is also very characteristic of Mike Henson longboards of that time. So, I don't know, a little ironic, but it definitely makes a big difference on how this board maneuvers. And for the time period, it was pretty revolutionary. So, just pretty wild to think about, and I haven't seen it on any other longboard aside from like Henson's. So, just something to consider. One of the features that I don't exactly love about this board, but it's original, and it is what it is the fin. It's a D fin, and it's moved up a little bit off the tail, but it just seems so small. It's like the world's cutest D-fin. For such like a big board, I feel like it should be bigger or something, or like the rake should be there. Especially for the time period, 1967, they were starting to do the plastic fins and they were starting to rake back fins. Right here is an example of a Hobie Dogbone fin duplicate, and this would have been of the same year. So to put the two fins side by side, you can see it's pretty drastic. So I don't exactly know why they stuck with the traditional D-fin shape, even though it is cut away a little bit in the back, but it still surfs well. I don't get it. But pretty fin, full fiberglass, blue tint fin, so whatever. So being a board builder and classic longboard collector, I want to know how they ride. That's half the fun of collecting for me. It's like, man, you can sit there and look at it, hang on your wall, but like, don't you want to know how it feels? Don't you want to know the spirit of 1967? So anyway, we took it out and surfed it. And I'm going to go get my buddy Willie to tell us about it. Willie! Willie!
What up, buddy?
You gotta tell me about your experience with the Challenger Eastern.
The Challenger East, oh my God. Thank you for letting me ride it. It was so much fun. It was so incredible. It was like going into the past and riding into the future.
Willie, what was your experience with the longboard?
Yeah, it was an amazing board. It was really cool. I got to ride it here at the beach that we're filming today. The wind was howling offshore and there was probably like 2 to 3 foot of swell. It was high tide, so the waves were kind of harder to get into. The weight of the board was so beneficial to getting into the wave early. Kind of hard to turn and stiff, but once you turned and brought the board around, it flew down the line. It trimmed really well, nose rode really well. I couldn't believe I was on such an old board, to be honest. I was blown away by how well it worked.
That was your first time on a classic longboard, right?
Yeah, first time on a classic longboard from that era. The condition of the board was just so immaculate and it worked so well 50 plus years later. I want to definitely ride another one with classic glass.
Hell yeah, well thank you for your testimonial. Willie Holmes, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you.
Woo! That was a long walk to the beach. Me and Willie sure had a lot of fun surfing the Challenger Eastern. Willie had a lot of good points to say about it. I know it was his first time on a classic longboard. I've had the pleasure of surfing this board in a bunch of different conditions, not just the day that we got on film. And I'll tell you, it's one of my favorite classic longboards to surf. It isn't the easiest board to nose ride, but it maneuvers really well. I think it has a lot to do with that down rail on the tail. Aside from having a very successful shaping career, Tinker also had another large achievement. As I said, their final shop location became kind of a creative space. This is the early 70s, and he was starting to get away from building boards as much, but he would have bands come in and they could perform there and practice along with artists and stuff of that nature. One of the local groups that came in to rehearse was a band called Steel Mill, and a very popular member of that group by the name of Bruce Springsteen spent a lot of time in that facility. Tinker took a liking to him and he had a bunch of connections through the music industry out in California. He would later help Bruce Springsteen break into the music industry and help him sign his first record deal with the E Street Band. Tinker would continue to be a pretty larger than life character in his local community. Everybody knew him, he was always around. Did a bunch of different interviews and stuff like that. Unfortunately, he passed away a few months ago, this last spring, May 26, 2025. But he will definitely be remembered not only in the surf community, but his local community as well. Truly a real legend. I'd also like to thank Jim Phillips for all the information that he gave me about the early days of Challenger Eastern Surfboards. Couldn't have done it without him, and it's just really great that there's still somebody out there that has all this information and is willing to talk about it. So thank you again. Try to do some wizardry here. Fuck, that doesn't make sense. Oh, fuck. I'm totally lost again. Shit. All you have to do is tell them about the surfboard, Leo. We're gonna try that again. Are we on? Yeah, fuck. I lost it. That was going so good. One more take. Fuck. That was going really good. So gross. I'm gross. Why didn't anybody tell me I'm gross? Crap, that's not what he said. Fuck, one more time. I'm taking it from the top.
Hey,
We're
Juliana.
gonna talk to Juliana right now because this
Yeah.
is a test run to test the volume. So I'm gonna start that over. That sounds fucking dumb. Not a tri-stringer, that's a double stringer. Dummy. Fuck. Crap. That's stupid. We're gonna try it again. Fuck. I don't know what to say after that. I don't know what to say. Hold on. I'm gonna start that over because that sounds dumb. It's so much harder when you're not prepared. Oh, it fucking hurts. One more time, we're gonna take it around. I feel good about this. Is that fucked up? Okay, we're just gonna scrub it.